Hey everybody, Chris Onorato, Ashley Miller. Welcome into Onorato and Company on News Channel 13's Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube Saturday nights on My 4 as well. A ton to get to here because the NFL is really ramping up. Baseball season feels like it's getting into the home stretch a little bit as we hit the middle of August. And there's big basketball news to talk about as well. NBA went dormant for a while. We've got big basketball news to get to on the show, though, as well. Hi, Ash.
Hey, what's going on?
Our guest today, too, is the Genie in Aladdin, coming to Proctors Theater in October. Cannot wait to talk with Marcus Martin. Bigger-than-life personality, perfect guy to be playing a character like Aladdin. Let's get things going here on Onorato and Company.
This is Onorato and Company, brought to you by Alpin House.
Shout out to all of our local business partners here on Onorato and Company. Of course, Andy Heck, Katie Osborne at Alpin House supporting this show to a great degree. And we love going out to Amsterdam or Clifton Park, one of their locations each and every single month. So our thanks to Alpin House and everybody else who will shout out during the show here as well. All right, let's get into what happened Wednesday night because it's got the Yankee fan base really re-energized at this point. And this, I think what happened Wednesday night is like whatever your favorite dessert is. Looks great, tastes great, feels good in the moment, not good for long-term success in terms of staying healthy and looking your best. Josh Donaldson hits the walk-off grand slam. The bullpen was a mess. And so I've seen on Twitter a lot of Yankees fans energized by this. Hey, this is maybe this is what turns us around. No, this is exactly the problem, is that they don't win games unless they hit home runs. Sometimes they come at very timely points in a game like Donaldson's did, but you cannot rely on this in October. We've seen it before, despite the ridiculous success in the first half of this season. To me, it's the same Yankees team, same Yankees problems once we get to the postseason.
Yes. Listen, when you say it's like your favorite dessert, it's good for all these reasons, it's not good for the long term. That result is good for the long term, even if it's just a matter of getting people's confidence going. I understand what you're saying by it doesn't mean that it's going to turn things around. And that's where I stand. It's one swing of the bat. Granted, I think the most important thing for Yankees fans was like, it was a huge win. They were down by a lot. They were about to be swept by the Rays. It's a big win, and it's one that they needed. I think even again, if it was just from a confidence standpoint of like, all right, let's try to get this thing turned around. But I agree. I don't know that it's just the magic bean that's going to solve all the Yankees' problems because there are many. This is a team that we said time and time again looked different, felt different. But we'll see when October comes. Well, guess what? We didn't have to wait to see when October came because that team, the Yankees team that we thought looked different and felt different, began to again look and feel like the Yankees teams of 1, 2, 3 years past that had all these problems.
Yeah. Okay. I'm with you. I mean, and is Chapman going to be the guy now? Does he all of a sudden become the guy who takes over the closer role? Is that the safest, smartest thing to do at this point? He's obviously the guy in that bullpen with the most experience when it comes down to it in the ninth inning. He gave up a huge hit last night with guys that came in with guys on base, and you thought it was over at 7-4, and then the Yanks get him loaded with nobody out, and Donaldson delivers. Is Chapman the answer in the bullpen?
I don't know if he's the answer, but they have options. Listen, we've seen Clay Holmes be this ridiculous shutdown all-star pitcher in the first half. He has not been that in the second half. But a guy like Efros coming over from the Cubs has shown that he can be a good enough reliever. And I think in a way you could just say, okay, he could be your closer too. But I think of those two guys, either Efros or Chapman, you got to figure out who it's going to be. And then at some point, hopefully you can work Clay back into being the guy that he was in the first half. And then you've got options, and that's never a bad thing to have options.
Yeah. Okay. I'm with you there. So you feel like Wednesday night was good for this Yankees team.
Well,
Build a little bit. Well, I understand. I understand winning was good. I don't like the way in which they won the game. But you're not going to.
Listen, you load the bases with no outs. There's a chance that if he doesn't hit it out, they're going to score some sort of runs. They're going to manufacture runs in some way, shape, or form. But again, I think from a confidence standpoint and from a fan standpoint, it's the first time they've given their team something to cheer about in 4 games.
And look, they had lost 11-13 to that point. Yeah. They were 8-17 since the All-Star break. Only the Pirates and Tigers had a worse record post All-Star break than the Yankees. And they still had a 9-game lead going into that series finale against Tampa. So that tells you how great the Yankees were in the second half. It may be the reversal here with what we're seeing with the New York Mets. We're going to get to the Mets here in a second on Onorato and Company. Some shout outs quickly. Sam is watching. Sam, we know you're watching, buddy. Great to see you, man. The J-Man is watching as well. Jason, good to see you, buddy. Nick is jumping in on some baseball here. He's got his football comment. We'll throw it up here in a second. But Gallo has 3 homers and 23 at-bats for LA and 10 strikeouts. That's what he did. He's always been that all or nothing guy. Mm-hmm. You hope that the home runs
he wasn't the all. He was the nothing.
Way off a little bit from the strikeouts. But I had a feeling Gallo would find a little bit of a swing once he was traded. I think is not shocking to me.
No, and he said like the pressure and the boos and the whole thing, the way he was treated in New York by fans, he didn't love it. Okay, he's not a New York guy. That's okay. I don't know that it's any easier to go play in LA, but I guess it is. We always say a change of scenery sometimes is all a player needs. And I did say, like, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes elsewhere and figures it out. But you can't always wait for that to happen. Like, he wasn't going to figure it out in New York. I'm okay with him doing what he's doing in LA. It just wasn't going to work.
Jay says he's going to the stadium tonight. Be happy to repeat. Yeah, sure. Yeah, hey, you're in the house. That's the best kind of win.
No doubt.
What happened Wednesday? That's the best kind of win. Doesn't matter what the team's success was before, after. You were there for a walk-off grand slam. It doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah, and we said this. Listen, we said even if the Yankees were to really cool off and play not very good baseball in the second half, that lead was so big, it's still 10 games. They have not played good baseball, and that lead is still 10 games. It would be really hard for them to blow it. They would have to play as bad, if not far worse baseball for the rest of the season for them to blow that lead.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not saying that's going to make them, even if they finish atop the division, I'm not saying that's going to make them the best baseball team going into the playoffs, but it would be hard for them not to make the playoffs.
All right, quick time out here on Onorato and Company. When we come back in less than a minute, the Mets, season high in terms of games over 500 this week. The lead in the division is fluctuated between half a game, believe it or not, and 7 games. It's now in the middle there as they play this series with the Braves. We'll talk about whether or not the Mets are now the favorites in the National League, seeing what we're seeing out of Scherzer and deGrom. Back right after this.
Teams, athletes, organizations. We're transforming the custom apparel industry through product and purpose. Claim your crown.
Fire, water, smoke, mold, and sewage cleanup. Reconstructing your home after a disaster can be both stressful and demanding. KPM Restoration will work quickly to restore your home. We'll help provide complete damage restoration to your property.
My problem was that I was traveling. There was a leak in my basement. We called KPM. They came in at 9 o'clock at night and were there till 2 o'clock in the morning until the problem was solved.
KPM Restoration. We'll get you back to normal.
And now back to Onorato and Company. Brought to you by Alpen House.
Shouted out Alpen House already on the show. How about our guys at Saratoga Eagle, Michelob Ultra, part of the show here. Jeff Vukovic, the president at Saratoga Eagle. Love that guy. Big Bills fan. He's in for a big season. Got to hang out with Jeff a little bit and his GM, John Rogan, up at the new Paddock Suite in Saratoga. So our thanks to them. Yeah, for supporting the show and for the invite as well, which was really cool. I don't know if he's a Mets fan or not. He's a big Bills fan. My guess is Western New York doesn't really translate to the Mets generally. Most often Yankees fans. Carol's watching. Carol, good morning. Always good to see you. And Sam, we'll get to your breaking news here in a moment, as well as more information comes in from Saratoga Police. Talk about the Mets here and Jacob deGrom and Max Scherzer, healthy, looking incredibly dominant. And if I'm any team in the National League, I'm already looking at October and I'm thinking to myself, can we beat them 4 times in 7 games? You're going to see Scherzer and deGrom in a long series like that twice each for sure.
Yep.
Short series, you're even more concerned. Can we beat them 3 times in 5 games? So I like Taijuan Walker. I like Carlos Carrasco.
Hurt.
Pete Peterson's been good at times. Correct. Injuries aside, like I like those guys. But to me, it's not, anytime I talk to Mets, they're like, well, don't forget about Walker and don't forget about it's not about those guys. It's about Scherzer and deGrom. If they're healthy, this team's incredibly difficult to beat. And I think, Ash, they're probably the favorites now in the National League, even above the Dodgers. Like when the Padres made the move for Soto, I said Dodgers, Mets, Braves, Padres. Now the Fernando Tatis news is something we'll get to here as well. Padres fall out of that list for me. I think the Mets, now that I've seen deGrom 3 starts be dominant.
I mean,
and he's going to throw Thursday night. How do you not look at them as better than the Dodgers at this point?
Yeah, I think you do. And obviously Walker Buehler is done for the Dodgers. He's one of their aces. It's the best 1-2 in baseball. We've said it. And we said a healthy Jacob deGrom would be a difference maker. And he has been quite literally unhittable in 3 starts. I mean, he's the best pitcher in baseball when he is healthy. And he's been that for the last 3-4 years, 5 years. He just has to be healthy. I think they're the favorites in all of Major League Baseball at this point to win, let alone the NL.
You like them better than the Dodgers, better than your Yanks?
I do.
Astros. Sorry, Astros.
Yeah. I mean, again, they're pitching. If you're going to tell me I'm going to win games 1 and 2 of a series, and then I'm going to see them again in 4 or 5 potentially, or 5 and 6, my guess is going to be 4 and 5 if you can travel day, you're just not going to win a lot of those games that they start.
Yeah, I think, you go into any postseason series with 4 starters. In a 5-game series, you're willing to try to make it maybe a 3-man rotation if the days off fall where you'd love to have them. But I think it's always a 4-man rotation. Sure. Scherzer game 1 for you, deGrom game 1 for you. If you're starting a playoff series right now, who throws game 1 for you?
I've said it. I mean, obviously it doesn't matter currently, but the way that it's lined up, it's Scherzer is your 1, deGrom is your 2. deGrom is the best pitcher in baseball. I'm throwing him game 1. I want to see him as many times as possible.
Who's Kelly Kelly? I don't know who Kelly Kelly is.
I don't know.
In a commercial break, we'll Google Kelly Kelly and see if you look like Kelly Kelly.
I'll Google right now. Maybe you look like Kelly Kelly. I don't know.
Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Maybe we're completely off here on who exactly Kelly Kelly is.
Boy.
Popeyes Louisiana Fast Minute. Oh, no. Should I Google it?
You should.
Live on the air here?
No, I mean, don't. You don't have to do that. But
nobody. Here's the thing.
I mean,
nobody
the comp is Barbie, so I'm not sure if that's a great. I don't know that that's a real.
Nobody ever says anything nice.
I mean,
on social media in terms of like who you look like.
Yeah, I mean, she's a pretty girl.
Yeah, she's a professional wrestler.
I mean, I hope I don't look like a professional wrestler. I don't exactly have the
Not that kind of wrestler.
muscles.
I think that's I think that's a compliment.
She's
Everybody
that
at
kind of
home.
wrestler.
What?
She's a professional wrestler. She's a muscular wrestler.
Yeah. My point. You made it sound like it was an insult.
Oh,
That was a compliment.
no,
Everybody else-
just half the pictures are her in a bikini or half naked. So
Everybody else is Googling that and thinking like, well, that's a compliment. No, nobody ever says anything nice on social media about, hey, you look like so-and-so and have it be a compliment.
all right, fine.
That you should take that and run with it.
Kelly. That's
that
her
was-
ring name.
That was pretty good.
Okay.
All right, so we're both on the Mets to win the NL at this point.
Yeah.
You say World Series.
Currently, yeah.
Boy, wouldn't it be great to get a Game 7 deGrom Verlander? How
Oh.
good would that be?
It would be good, but I'm not sure it would be as good as we'd hope. You got to get who else could we pit? Who could you pit deGrom against that would be just even better than Verlander? I don't know.
Verlander's going to win the Cy Young in the American League.
You know, he's just old. He feels old to me.
He does, but he still pumps it in at 97. I mean, it's so interesting. Verlander in Detroit had to relearn how to pitch. He didn't have the velocity anymore.
Yep.
So he was throwing in the low to mid 90s and pitching, not just throwing. He gets to Houston and they teach spin rate and all these things. I know if he's back up into the high 90s and dominating an ERA below 2. I said I think the guy's going to win the Cy Young in the AL. Whoa. Crazy what he's been able to do.
We've talked about what Houston does with pitchers. Charlie Morton was a monster in Houston. Justin Verlander was a monster in Houston. Garrett Cole was a monster in Houston. And then they leave and they're not shells of themselves because that's not fair, but they're not themselves if they leave.
Yeah. Nick wants to know, why do I still feel it's hard to totally buy in on the Mets?
It's not hard for me. I mean, I get it. Historically, I get it, but it's not hard for me this year.
Yeah, historically, they've never had anything like
Correct.
DeGrom. And it was always like, poor Jacob deGrom. He doesn't have any help. You know, and the lineup now, they've done a really good job. My concern would be like, you know, are the Vogelbacks and Cannas of the world going to hit in a postseason series? But I love guys like McNeil and Nimmo and Marte who put the ball in play. Yeah, the Mets, I said this to one of my Braves buddies too. They remind me of the Dodgers in 2020 when, and maybe even years before that too. I'm just speaking specifically from my own personal experience. Yeah. Where in that NLCS against the Dodgers, the Braves couldn't get LA to swing at anything out of the strike zone.
Yep.
And that's this Mets team. They work counts. I think they on average see 18 pitches every first inning. It's number one in baseball. So they don't strike out. They see pitches. They work deep counts. They put the ball in play. Like, that is a nightmare for an opposing pitching staff and a fan sitting on his couch at home, because there are no easy outs in that lineup. There just aren't. And it is a philosophy they've all bought in on is, hey, we want to work as many deep counts as possible. So we'll have an aggressive approach, but we're going to spoil pitches. We're not going to chase stuff widely out of the zone. And man, has it worked out for this team. We talk so much about Scherzer and deGrom. That lineup too is better than people realize or know if they aren't watching the Mets regularly, Ash, the way you and I do. Stan the man.
Guy Stan. Braves will separate themselves. We'll see, but I think that comp is really good, actually. I think that Dodgers lineup 1 through 9 had more power, but I think 1 through 9, you're just going to get more guys in that Mets lineup who are going to manufacture runs. A guy like Guillorme, like, there's no one in that lineup who can't hit. So yeah, I love their lineup, but to me, it didn't feel like they did anything crazy in the offseason. Like the Marte signing was really good.
They brought in Canna.
Vogelback comes out of nowhere. They trade for him, and everyone kind of thought, well, obviously he was in Pittsburgh, so maybe nobody just knew about him all that much, but he's been really good for them. He's been fun for them. They just look like they're having fun, and they've been really, really good. No one has slumped super hard. I think the comp is great. I really like the comp to the Dodgers lineup.
Final thought here on the Mets, and you mentioned Carrasco and
we'll see what happens with injuries.
Walker. Walker was back spasms, not as
Yep.
great of a concern. Carrasco had an oblique thing happen here. They're talking multiple weeks he's going to miss.
Fiorme out.
Fiorme is injured.
Yep.
Escobar is injured.
Yep. They'll start to feel it, and this is where we will see if they can handle. They're deep enough to handle all of that. Because even if you only win Scherzer and deGrom starts and then you lose the next 2 until they come back around, or the next 3, which they won't, your lineup is good enough even without those guys. None of those are devastating losses in a lineup. And they're not devastating losses because their names are not Max Scherzer or Jacob deGrom. So I think if you can just kind of bide your time and see what you can do until you get those guys back, I think they'll be fine. But this is where you'll learn a lot about a Mets team.
I love getting some new people in on the show here.
Yeah.
Mark says the Dodgers are overrated. I'm not going to say I agree, but I have some caution about LA, and that's despite them winning 14 straight games by multiple runs just recently. I'm half there with you, Mark. I think they're very, very good. I also think they're incredibly beatable.
Yeah, I agree. But to me, I just always think like in their lineup, when you say the name Freddie Freeman and you say the name Mookie Betts,
Trey Turner, Will Smith.
Right. There are none of those guys on the New York Mets. You know what I mean? Like they don't have that guy who is going to come up and you just feel basically a hit is a sure thing. And Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, those are 2 guys that I'd be like, all right, we're probably going to get a hit here.
Yeah, and Trey Turner's having maybe the best year of his career, too.
Yep.
I am not above putting up compliments. Thank you, Rick. We appreciate that, man.
The fans are throwing out a lot of love today. Kelly,
all right, we're coming back here on Onorato and Company. We've got the Performance Industrial Dirty Difficult done straight ahead, half baseball related, so we'll stay in theme here. We're back right after this on O&Co, everyone.
Alpenhaus RV is celebrating 58 years of family fun and camping during our anniversary sale. Shop big anniversary savings on an even bigger selection of RVs. Choose from new 2022 Avenger travel trailers for $194 a month and new 2022 Colorado travel trailers for $228 a month. Plus, all 2020 and newer RVs come with our exclusive lifetime warranty. Proudly serving you since 1964 and generations to come. Don't miss our 58th anniversary sale at Alpenhaus RV.
And now back to Onorato and Company, brought to you by Alpenhaus.
All right, back on O&Co here. A little bit of breaking news on this Thursday. I struggle to even talk about it only because our Saturday night audience, there could be some changes. Okay, so I will preface it with that. There is news that we will address, but also say that if you're watching us on social media after the live stream, or if you're watching us on TV on Saturday night, there's a good chance some of this information is outdated.
Yeah.
Dangerous game to play.
Yeah.
But some of the facts will remain intact. Is that Chad Brown, the horse trainer from Mechanicville and the leading trainer in Saratoga, he's got 5 Saratoga titles, 6 Saratoga training titles at this point in his career. He's the best trainer in America right now. He has Eclipse Awards. He has all of that stuff. He was arrested by Saratoga Springs police, we believe, Wednesday night. The charge is domestic violence related obstruction of breathing is the charge that we've been told here at News Channel 13. Mark Mulholland was first to report that for us. And was scheduled to be in court on Thursday morning. It is our Sabrina Dami will have coverage of it in some form in our newscasts on Thursday, with, I'm sure, more to follow on Friday and perhaps over the weekend. But for now, that's all I know, Ash, as I sit here at 10:32 on Thursday. So again,
and I don't know any more than that.
There could be some things that change, whether it's, first of all, finding out who the other person is involved in this and whether or not charges stick. So all of that thrown out there, that is what has happened with Chad Brown.
Yeah, we're not going to ignore it. That's not what we're This is the game of fair and balance. That's what we do. But you do have to preface it because this re-airs. And like you said, 3 days from now, 2 days from now, things could change. So that's the basic facts, but we don't have a whole lot more than that because it's still very early.
Right. All right, let's get into Performance Industrial's Dirty, Difficult, Done here on Onorato Company.
And now, Dirty, Difficult, and Done. Presented by Performance Industrial.
Shout out to our guy Bill Miller at Performance Industrial, South Glens Falls, Albany locations. There is no job, Ash, that is too dirty or too difficult for that team at Performance Industrial. Epoxy floors is really kind of their specialty. Love to see the work that they do and they post on social media. Here is my dirty, difficult, done. Getting ahead of superstar contracts is difficult, but there may be no organization in professional sports better at it than the Atlanta Braves. They just signed Michael Harris II, the youngest player in baseball. He's 21 years old. There's nobody younger on a major league roster right now in the big leagues, younger than this guy, playing center field. He's going to win National League Rookie of the Year, and the Braves just gave him 8 years, $72 million with option years to follow. It could ultimately go 10 for more than 100. Now, there's risk on both sides, and you and I have talked about this. There's risk on the Braves' part. Here's a 21-year-old, hasn't even played really half a season yet. Can he continue to do this? Don't know. We believe our scouting. We believe our eyes. We believe our evaluation of him that he will, in fact, continue. So, okay, let's get ahead of arbitration. And then, my goodness, 6 years down the road when maybe he's an absolute superstar and he becomes a free agent and it's going to cost us $300 million.
Yeah.
So we make him happy. We give ourselves a little bit of security. And there's risk on Michael Harris' part that 6 years from now, I could be an absolute or even sooner, right?
Bigger superstar.
Out of club control, I could be in the Aaron Judge, Mookie Betts, Bryce Harper, Mike Trout territory. That is the upper echelon, of course, of outfielders and guys who are going to make more than $300 million in a contract. But he says, I'll take my money now. And so I don't blame either side. I think it's smart on both sides. Smart on Harris to take the money. Smart on the Braves to say, we believe in you. We want to keep you long-term and avoid arbitration and all the ugliness that comes along with it. They did it with Michael Harris. They did it with Ronald Acuna Jr. They did it with Ozzie Albies. For people who want to scream at me and say, well, look at what they do with Freddie Freeman. Yes, I know. He went to free agency. However, when Freddie was young, they gave him 7 years, $135 million. Yep. They beat him to arbitration. They beat him to the first time around with free agency. They did it back then with a guy like Craig Kimbrell and Julio Teheran. They are ahead of the free agency periods for a lot of their presumed superstars. And I think it ends up working out better for both sides.
I agree. And this is going to sound like a little, I don't want this to sound like teams are taking advantage of players because that's not it at all. But they're getting to players before, number one, they know how much they're truly worth. But number two, also before they've ever had a taste of real money in their lives. Because once they make $1, $2, $3 million, well, now that's already real money. That's life-changing money. So they understand, okay, I want to be, this is when they want I want the 100 million versus that. They don't know now what having money is like. So to a guy like Michael Harris, $72 million over the next 8 years is going to be life-changing, incredible money. And by the time he realizes, okay, maybe I'm worth more than that, you're through 5 years of the contract and you play out the final 3 years of the contract and then you go get your money. And if it doesn't work for you, which means it doesn't work for them, not doesn't work for you, if you underachieve, guess what? You're already guaranteed the money. So that's why the club is taking a risk, but you talk about scouting. They've obviously had their eye on this guy for a really long time. He's worked his way up in the minor league system. He's done that. He's achieved what he's achieved consistently at that level and then has done it for, I know it's a very short period of time in the majors, but there clearly has been no real tail off to what he's been able to do in the majors. So I think when you have guys that you've seen for that long of a time, the sample size is pretty big. I know it hasn't always been against major leaguers, but when you're that good consistently, I think it's a no-brainer.
And here's what I feel I know about him. Plays an incredible center field defensively.
And even if that's all he ever does.
Fast guy, so he's likely going to beat out some hits. If he gets on base, he's somebody you have to worry about if you're an opposing pitcher or catcher. So he has elements in the game that are not one-dimensional, and so you can invest a little bit thinking like, even if this guy goes into a little bit of a slump, he's still going to be a really, really good center fielder for us. And the Braves haven't had that in a little bit of time here. They thought it'd be Christian Pache. That obviously wasn't going to work out, and so Michael Harris II becomes the guy for them. It's, of course, haven't even mentioned Austin Reilly. Oh, by the way, 25 years old, Austin Reilly gets 10 years.
Through 2032.
Yes. Yep. So they have so many guys 26 and younger. Matt Olson is 28. They have so many guys 26 and younger.
Strider,
who they have locked in either just by way of drafting, and there's club control, international draft, a guy like William Contreras, or like we've said, getting ahead of those free agent years, arbitration years, and locking guys up. Smart move. Dansby Swanson is kind of the one that is hanging in the wind here. He's going to get a big payday at the shortstop position. My assumption is that it won't be with the Braves, unfortunately. Yeah, much as I like that guy, I don't know that it's going to happen. All right, Ash, your Dirty Difficult done here coming up in a second. We're back right after this on Onorato Company.
I don't care what kind of stories that's been told on you. That may be a lot of things in life you used to do. If you can't give true love to me, I'll understand. Just do the best you can.
Michelob Ultra, 2.6 carbs and 95 calories.
And now back to Onorato and Company, brought to you by Alpenhouse.
All right, we said there was NBA news to get to on the show, and there, in fact, is NBA news. I will just quickly admit here, Ash, before you say anything, this one took me by surprise when I saw this yesterday.
Yes, but here's the gig. So LeBron James signs a contract extension, 2 years, $97 million. You're surprised because he's staying in LA, right? Yes. Here's the deal. The 2 years only takes him through this season and next season, which is when Bronny is draft eligible. He's going into his senior year. There's a player option for that third year. So he can either choose to re-sign with LA or he can choose to go wherever Bronny gets drafted. So we kind of thought last night that Bronny was going into his junior year, which would not have made sense for him. I guess he could have just signed that 3-year player option. But this is a guy who he's 37. He's going to be 38 before the season is over. December
30th. Yep.
December 30th. 38 years old. This is not a guy who looks 38. Will be 38.
Maybe Christmas Day. I forget. It's late December.
Okay. This is a guy who doesn't look like he's 38, doesn't play like he's 38 or 37 for that matter, but who is fighting the good fight of father time and making $45 million a season while he's at it just to play with his child. Good for him, number one. I also think I believe in guaranteed money became the NBA's all-time richest, whatever that highest earning player in NBA history, passes Kevin Durant. I'm not sure how much that really means. The next contract Kevin signs, he'll then pass LeBron. It's kind of a, moot point. But
yes, look, Eli Manning at one point was the highest earning field player in NFL history. All of that changed with Mahomes and Deshaun Watson and, but yeah, to your point. Okay. So let me just play this thing out here.
Yeah.
LeBron is setting this thing up as if Bronny, his son, will play a year in college. What
or
if?
The G League.
Or the G League, yes.
Or overseas, yeah.
What if the NBA, this would be a total screw job by the NBA. If they decided at some point in the next year, 10 months, oh, hey, by the way, enough of this have to be year removed from. We're going to let high schoolers go. Then,
do you think LeBron would make him go to college for a year?
No.
Say go to college for a year so you're draft eligible. When we're,
Could you imagine?
Get the college experience.
I mean, the selfishness and hubris of this guy. If he said to his son, hey, I know you stand to make millions of dollars and get your professional career started now, but do me a favor. Put yourself at risk for a year playing college basketball just so me at 39 and with a walker could get up and down the court with you a little bit in the NBA. I would lose my mind. I know.
His dad's a bajillionaire.
It doesn't matter. It's not about him. It's about the kid now.
I get it, but he doesn't need the money. That's the point. He doesn't need the money.
Okay, but the kid wants to earn his own way here. Like,
I get it.
Dad, cool, but I'm not going to play with you for the rest of my career. I need to start when I can start. If the NBA were to open the door for him and LeBron were to say, hey, go play for Calipari for a season, I'd lose my mind.
Listen, even if, say they have to play against one another for a year, he would opt out of that third year. And then whatever team on this green earth, even if it's the Detroit Pistons, draft Bronny, they'd be happy to take LeBron on as long as he didn't need to make $45 million a season. Hey, could you take 15 from us so you can play with your kid and then retire? Whatever.
See, now this to me
He's
is
not
kind of
going to
the
need a walker at 39, by the way.
Interesting part of it all is LeBron James, arguably, I wouldn't put him there, but he's arguably the greatest player in NBA history. Okay, for me, he's 2. But arguably the greatest player in NBA history is in a couple of years going to go play for some random NBA franchise. Now,
how many people get that opportunity?
The poetic justice would be that the Cavs somehow stink and they get a top 3 pick. I don't know. Bronny James is going to be the number 1 pick in 2 years. But he
doesn't look like his father either. Like that dude does not. He's not LeBron James.
They got a top 5 pick, and all of a sudden LeBron's back in Cleveland to end his career. That would be pretty cool. The problem is the Cavs are good, and they won't have a top 5 lottery pick in a couple of years.
And maybe you just draft. Maybe his draft stock is higher because his last name is James.
Yeah, so
and his first name is Bronny.
Sam says, "How do we know he's going to be like?" We don't know. We don't know Sam, but all we know
already
here
good enough.
Is that we don't know that he's going to be that good to play in the NBA.
He's already good enough. Yeah.
He will. Yeah. He's going to play. We don't know that he'll be good when he plays in the NBA.
No, but he's good enough to play in the NBA.
Yeah. Here's what we absolutely know is that no matter what, LeBron James is going to find his way to the team that drafts his son. That's what we know.
Yes.
Whether Bronny logs minutes as a rookie, who knows? But his dad will be on that team. It's interesting to me that you're going to get LeBron James in like some weird, a Thunder jersey. You're going to play for Oklahoma City or Houston, or it's just going to be a little strange.
Carol, the answer is yes. That man is worth $97 million in ticket sales, in jersey sales, in revenue, in commercials, in you name it. He is one of the very few people on this planet that I would say would be worth spending $97 million on him.
And I understand where Carol's coming from.
Yeah, no, 100%. I get it.
I think that way too.
Yep,
like, how
I
could
get
you,
it.
If I were a pro athlete, I'd play for,
I get it. But there are
20,000.
baseball players who, when you look at Garrett Cole per start, are making far and away more money than like LeBron James is making per NBA game. So I have no problem with a guy like LeBron making it.
Yeah, difference between a salary cap league and non. Yep. But yes, you laid out all the reasons as to why. Is he worth $97 million in terms of like winning games? No. But the number of tickets and jerseys he sells alone, that is worth the investment. I know it's a crazy, crazy world we live in. Yeah, for sure. I get it. Boy,
Sam's mad.
We
can't open this can.
Sam.
We can't
Don't do this to me, Sam. We like you, Sam. You can't. There's no way 10 guys. If you wanted to make an argument that LeBron was like 3 or 4, I'd listen.
Yeah,
I'd listen.
He's top 5, and he's probably top 3, and for most of us, he's top 2. The only conversation is 1 or 2. That's the only conversation left to be had.
Don't have enough time this week.
Yeah, we don't. We gotta get to the Genie.
I need to get moving here. Yes. Okay. Let's take a quick time out here on Onorato and Company. When we come back, Marcus Martin, who plays the Genie in the Aladdin, coming to Proctors next. Hang on, everyone.
Teams, athletes, organizations. We're transforming the custom apparel industry through products and purpose. Claim your crown.
And now back to Onorato and Company. Brought to you by Alpenhaus.
Welcome back to Onorato and Company. Ash, what is your favorite Disney movie?
I'm not sure if I can answer that question.
The right answer is Aladdin.
Well, I know what the right answer is.
That's the right answer.
I wanted to let you give it away.
What's your favorite Disney character?
Well, that's an easy one. If your favorite Disney movie is Aladdin, your favorite character is always the Genie. There's no second option.
Yeah, we're going to talk to the Genie. How about that? This is,
awesome.
I mean, an O and Co first for sure. We've talked with musicians, we've talked with actors, we've talked with athletes, of course, coaches. We're mostly a sports talk show. But when I saw that Aladdin was coming to Proctors Theater, I said to our good friend Jess Sims, can you get us Marcus Martin? I need to talk to the Genie, and here he is on the show. Marcus, man, it's great to have you on the show. Thank you for doing this.
Thank you so much, Chris and Ashley, for having me.
Congratulations on the role.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. It's a dream come true. It's the honor of a lifetime to get to bring this iconic character around the country so audiences can see us.
Marcus, what is it about the Genie that kind of had you from the get-go? I know we read an article that was published out in Akron of your hometown, and it just said you were kind of drawn to this character. What is it about him, and why does it fit you?
Yeah, the thing that I loved about the Genie is that everything that I wasn't allowed to be in school as a kid, I had permission to do on stage. And I was like, this guy's, he's using his outside voice. He's being loud. He's having as much energy as possible. And people are giving him a standing ovation. It's a dream come true. I was like, I want to do that. So yeah, that's a big part of why it was a dream role for me.
Does your fandom follow LeBron James or the Cavs?
Oh, yes. I'm from Akron, Ohio, home of LeBron James. I'm LeBron till I die.
You know I was going to sneak that in there. Let's get to the real reason, as Ash has already done here, as to why you're with us on the show. October 11th, this tour is launching
right here
in Schenectady at Proctors Theater, which is so cool. It's going to be here for basically a couple of weeks at Proctors Theater. The cast was just announced on Monday. And we will maybe even give away some tickets on the show at some point here, which would be very cool. But Marcus Martin, this is what I think is interesting about Aladdin, Marcus, and I hope you can speak to it. While the show and the movie was named for the main character, it isn't Aladdin that people are drawn to this film and now stage production. It's your character. That's pretty rare, I think.
Yeah, it's really rare. It's really rare for a secondary character to kind of come along and steal everyone's hearts during the show, and it's amazing. Our Aladdin is incredible. Adi Roy, I can't wait for you all to see him. He has an amazing voice, and Aladdin has some amazing moments in this show.
Sure.
But yeah, it's really fun to get to just come out of nowhere and just have a good time with the audience. It's amazing.
Marcus, I know in the article it had said that you've kind of seen some of the other Genies that have gone before you. Who are maybe some of your inspirations, whether it's on Broadway, in movies, in theater, any of that?
Yeah, absolutely. I have to shout out James Monroe Eichelhart, the original Tony Award-winning Genie. He won the Tony for playing the Genie on Broadway. He's amazing. I've gotten to actually develop a relationship with him. He's so kind and generous and sweet. So I have to give him his flowers. I'm a huge fan of Denzel Washington. I think he's incredible. He does no wrong to me. There's a comedian named Kev on Stage who's created a wonderful empire for himself and his family off of the ground, pretty much on social media, and that's really inspiring to me. And then Joshua Henry, he's a multiple Tony Award nominee. He's amazing. One of my favorite Broadway stars. So those are some of my inspirations that kind of really drove me to strive for greatness.
So what is different about the adaptation of the Genie on stage, right, as opposed to in, animated form or even real life form as we've seen in film? How do you pull this off on stage?
Yeah, I mean, our incredible creative team, they were really intentional about making the stage version different from the animated film. And so they went back to the original vision for the Genie. The Genie was kind of born as this inspiration, a mixture of Cab Calloway and Fats Waller, kind of that old school jazz singer type of style, type of figure. And so when they decided to bring it to the stage, they wanted to go back to that vision. And so I've been watching a lot of Cab Calloway videos and listening to Fats Waller, and even watching some old stand-up comedians, seeing how they work the crowd to kind of get a feel for who my Genie is.
Okay.
Can you take anything away from, though? Like, listen, the people who know the Genie, kids who grew up with Aladdin like myself, they know Robin Williams. Robin Williams made that character larger than life. Can you take anything away from what he did with that animated version and just who he was to kind of put your own spin on it?
Yes, absolutely. Robin Williams is a legend. What he did with that character is, I mean, it's a huge part of everyone's childhood, really. But the amazing thing about our creative team is that they really gave us the liberty to, make the Genie our own. Each Genie that's played the role has kind of put their own spin on it. And so while, it's great to get to honor that and pay homage to what he did, and then kind of get to find our own Genie in ourselves.
How long does it take to get in and out of that costume?
Ooh, I don't know, because we haven't started yet. But I did a fitting. I did a fitting a couple of weeks ago, and it's quite a task. It's quite a task. That'll definitely be my warm up for the show every night. Getting all those clothes on.
How do you prepare? Listen, this is your first time on the road with a traveling theater production. How do you prepare for something like this? This is going to be something you've never experienced, and life on the road is probably a lot different.
Yeah, definitely. I'm really blessed to have a lot of mentors in this industry that have been around for a very, very long time. Special shout out to Jamaris Daughtry, Michelle West, Roger Lawrence, just to name a couple, that have been on the road before, and they've kind of given me advice on packing advice and all kinds of road hacks that I'll need to know during my time. So I've really been just taking notes, listening to them, calling them, hey, what do you think about this? And writing everything that they say down.
Well, if you need restaurant recommendations in Schenectady, we got you.
Oh, yes. Yes. That's actually the thing that one of the things I'm most excited about going on the road is getting to try different restaurants all around the country. Yeah.
And Marcus, for a guy who is just kind of born and raised in theater, will it be cool for you to see, number one, different theaters? Every theater will be different, some older, more historic than others, but you're going to get the chance, as part of your job, you will get paid to literally travel the country and see probably cities and meet people that you've never met.
Yeah, it's amazing. I really love traveling. I traveled a lot with my mom as a kid, so I kind of got the traveling bug very early in life. So I'm really excited. And I always said that right out of school, I wanted to go on the road so that I could travel and see so many things and meet people and see the architecture of different theaters. I'm a theater fan. I always say I'm a fan first and actor second. So get to experience different theaters and how they're built around the country. It's going to be just an absolute dream come true.
Follow the man on Instagram. You can see it right there on your screen under his name. Give him a follow. And my guess, Marcus, is that through social media, right? You'll kind of take fans along the ride with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Growing up, I was a huge, theater. I was what you would call a theater nerd as a kid. And so I always followed all of the Broadway and touring actors because I wanted to see what that life was like. So I've been watching their content so much growing up. So now I kind of get to do my own version of that, which I'm really excited about.
What was the audition process like? Because I read the impressive people that you had to go in front of to try to win this role. What were the pressure moments like? And then what was it like knowing, hey, this role of a lifetime here, how do I impress the group in front of me?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's definitely a big undertaking. For me, I just tried to stay as calm and mellow as possible. Just try to, I can only control what I can control. So just if I do my part, show what I bring to the table, show who I am. And everything else will work out. What is for me is for me, and if it's meant to be mine, then it will be mine. As long as I do my best, I can sleep well at night with the results.
I'm not even sure if tickets have gone on sale in Ohio yet, but are you going to sell out every performance in like whatever would be the equivalent of your hometown, whether it's Cleveland or I don't know if you guys go to Akron. I know you go to Cleveland now.
Yeah, we're going to Cleveland, which I actually grew up. We had a season subscription to the Broadway series in Cleveland growing up, so that'll be really special. But yeah, I have a huge village of family and friends and supporters, and yeah, let's just say that Cleveland is going to be packed pretty nice. Cleveland's going to be packed out. I can't wait.
I feel bad for the other actors on stage. Like every time Marcus is on stage, the place will be going nuts for him. That's awesome.
There's actually another actor, Cody Hernandez. He's also from Northeast Ohio as well. So he will definitely have some love in there too.
Yeah, you guys will definitely jam-pack that place. That's really, really cool. Again, Aladdin coming to Proctors Theater. It's where the tour launches in Schenectady,
11th.
which is a really, really cool thing on October 11th. Yeah, basically 2 weeks of dates of this incredible stage production, an iconic movie, an iconic show with an iconic role being played by our guy, Marcus Martin, and that is the Genie. Ash, I always like to give you final word here.
I read something in this article that you are singing on a treadmill to prepare for so this is a 7-minute, basically not a monologue. It's a 7-minute production. That's all you.
It is.
What else can you do to prepare for a moment like that?
We're talking about Friend Like Me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, the iconic show-stopping Friend Like Me. It's a marathon. Like I stated earlier, I've gotten to get some wisdom from previous Genies, and they all have said, work on the cardio. I found out I got the role in late March, so I had a lot of time to prepare. So I've spent almost every day throughout this summer singing the song while on the treadmill and the elliptical to kind of build up that stamina to get through the song 8 times a week.
As a stage actor and in a musical, you have to be able to do it all,
right?
Which is unique. It's rare. Rank them for me. As a singer, as an actor, as a dancer,
comedian,
what give me where you rank best, do you think?
That's interesting. Definitely singing and acting is my first love. But I love to dance. As I'm maturing as a performer, I realize that they all inform each other a little. They all coexist more. So what I'm doing acting wise informs my singing choices. What I'm doing acting wise, my singing choices inform my dancing choices. So they all kind of coexist. So while singing and acting is my first love, I think that they all come together, and I'm excited to explore, get in the rehearsal room, and build my Genie.
I love to sing and dance. That doesn't mean I should.
No.
But I love to do it.
We've had a hard couple of years, so whatever brings you joy, I think just go for that.
No, listen, I don't stop him, but we wouldn't want to see this guy as the Genie. You can handle that.
It can't be that bad. It can't be that bad. Who knows? I might call out a couple nights and let you take it.
Okay. Yeah.
The understudy.
Yeah, exactly right. The booze will be raining down.
We'll be refunding money.
Ooh, boy. Marcus, man, it's so nice to meet you this way. We can't wait to see the production in person.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get to meet you in person as well.
Starting October 11th at Proctors Theater, playing the Genie on stage in Aladdin. It is Marcus Martin, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I can't wait to meet you all.
Fire, water, smoke, mold, and sewage cleanup. Reconstructing your home after a disaster can be both stressful and demanding. KPM Restoration will work quickly to restore your home. We'll help provide complete damage restoration to your property.
My problem was that I was traveling. There was a leak in my basement. We called KPM. They came in at 9 o'clock at night and were there till 2 o'clock in the morning until the problem was solved.
KPM Restoration. We'll get you back to normal.
You've heard of unsung heroes. The men and women of Naiskoba are the unseen heroes. For the past year, you've learned about our many charitable endeavors. Now it is my privilege to share with you the work performed by our members, the 20,000 state correction and law enforcement officers shielded from view. They work in difficult and dangerous conditions and are an extension of the police who protect our neighborhoods. Naiskoba honors New York's police and firefighters and salutes its own members who help deliver a peaceful night's sleep.
And now back to Onorato Company. Brought to you by Alpen House.
All right, how cool was that, huh? Marcus Martin going to play the Genie on stage at Proctors in Aladdin. All right, Ash, before...
You look stressed. Here we go.
I look stressed. I'm stressed because, we had a lot to get into the show here, and I'm just jamming it in. All right, here we go. Popeyes Louisiana Fast Minute. Ash, you are up.
I'm up. All right. So because we don't talk about college football enough, like football isn't already king, a conversation happened amongst the college football board of managers, I believe that they call it, 11 college presidents and chancellors. For 5 minutes, this conversation happened about maybe someday potentially breaking off and not playing under the NCAA, not being governed by the NCAA. Instead, maybe being governed by the College Football Playoff Committee. This was a 5-minute conversation. It is nowhere near happening, and yet we're talking about it because college football reigns supreme. You have conference realignment. You have billion-dollar deals being signed by the Big Ten with CBS, Fox Sports, and NBC. This entity is so much bigger than almost everything else in all of sports. I can't believe it hasn't happened already. I can't believe they're still playing under the NCAA umbrella because they don't like anything about it. So go ahead, play wherever you want. Maybe it'll be better under the college football playoff.
Well, I think for a long time it felt like we have no choice. We're beholden to the NCAA. We have to hang with the NCAA. So maybe that's part of the thinking. All right. Sam wants to know if we're doing a Saturday show. Sam, we are doing a Saturday show indeed. You can find me Saturday morning at the Horseshoe to get you ready for the Alabama Stakes. Back right after this with my Popeyes Louisiana Fast Minute.
At Marcella's Appliance Center, our commitment is to you, providing essential appliances that families depend on for cooking, refrigeration, cleaning, and sanitation, plus appliance repair. You can have peace of mind that Marcella's is here for you today and every day, like we have been since 1957, helping you make the right choice with trusted brands like Whirlpool, Maytag, KitchenAid, and many more. Shop Marcella's Appliance Center in-store, online, or by phone. We're here for you.
And now back to Onorato Company. Brought to you by Alpen House.
Okay, Ash, in the time that I've got left here on the show, how quickly can I get into my Popeyes Louisiana Fast Minute? Here I go. All right, Lamar Jackson is betting on himself. Guess what? I say that means success for Lamar. Lamar Jackson is going to play at an MVP level this season. We saw it. Oh, by the way, it was the Ravens. They should have learned by now. Joe Flacco bet on himself. He went on to win a Super Bowl that year, didn't commit a single turnover in that postseason run with Baltimore to beat the 49ers in the Super Bowl. I'm not saying Lamar Jackson's going to win a Super Bowl, but I think it's going to pay off for him big time that he will play at an MVP level. He will get a monster contract. Look at Aaron Judge, the way he's performing in a contract year. Guys who have said no to big money and have gone on to cash in for even more. Lamar Jackson is going to do exactly that this season with the Baltimore Ravens as well. If you really want me to go out on a whim, I'll say he'll finish top 3 in the MVP race. So give me.
Will he play for the Ravens next year?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they'll find a way to keep him. They can franchise tag him as well. Let's remember, right? So they've got some options. All right, thanks for hanging out and watching Onorato and Company, everybody. We will see you next week. See you Saturday as well, live from the Horseshoe.